Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. And I am just honored for the guest that we have tonight, Larry Cherry. There are many people in Chicago who know Larry Cherry because Larry Cherry has been in our community working to improve our community, to enlighten our community for over 48 years. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Larry for maybe about 26 years, I'll say. And so, Larry, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight.
Well, thank you for being a thought leader and coming up with this program that helps back Black businesses, which is definitely needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And family, as you know, we are a nonprofit organization, and we came together to make a contribution to our community by supporting our Black businesses because we feel that the best way to help our community is to help circulate the dollars in our community, and our Black businesses have the opportunity to do that. Our Black businesses serve as mentors. They provide opportunities for other Black business owners and entrepreneurs who can provide services to them or even place their items in their establishments. And they contribute to our causes. And so when we support the businesses in our community, those dollars somehow find a way back to us in terms of services and resources. And so it's just common sense, it's just common knowledge that we should support our businesses. And that's why we have this podcast every Wednesday night, and we bring to you a business from our community. And that's why this podcast is so important. And as you know, we are great proponents of Black bookstores. Larry, I'm sure you're familiar during the time when we had over 22 Black bookstores here in the Chicago area. And
Absolutely.
Larry's an avid reader, and I would actually advise you to get a pen and pencil because sometimes Larry starts to throw names of books out, and you want to write it down. And I think that's definitely why he is so knowledgeable. And we have lost a lot of our Black bookstores. We went down to 2, but there is a resurgence of Black bookstores here in the Chicago area. Some are brick and mortars and some are online. And if you go to our website at rrgbc.org, we have listed some of the Black bookstores that are here in the Chicago area. And if anyone knows of any other bookstores that are not on our list, please email us at blackbiz.grow@gmail.com, and we will be happy to add that bookstore to our list. We go a step further. We feature a Black bookstore on our website every month. And then that particular bookstore has the opportunity to select a book, and one of our subscribers has an opportunity to win that book. We give a book away every month, and it is at our expense. We purchase the book and we pay for the shipping. All we ask is that you read the book, that you support the Black bookstores from which these books are coming from, and share these books and the information that are inside of these books with those people in your circles. So our bookstore for this month is Frontline. And Frontline is on the website right now at frontline.com, where you can go and you can see all of the books that Frontline has to offer. Okay. And if you want to, and Frontline has recommended Lessons for African People by Marcus Garvey. So if you want to win that book, all you have to do is go to rrgbc.org and subscribe. If we call your name, then we will be contacting you and you will receive that book free of charge at our expense. So please support our Black bookstores. We also are working on a public policy piece where we want our local schools and our local libraries to give contracts to our bookstores. So go to Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org and sign our petition. That's Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org. Sign our petition. And finally, the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. They've been around for 20 plus years, and they have been giving loans to people in our communities, mortgage loans, car loans, personal loans, financial literacy classes, trying to help those individuals in our communities to get their finances together, to get the dollars that they may need when, in many instances, they're not able to go to some of these big banks that are sitting in our community and are refusing to give back and are refusing to give the services to our communities that we really need. And so we ask you to support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. They're located in the mall at 54th and Wentworth. And in order for a bank to thrive, they need you to open up accounts. So open up an account at the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. Greg Brown, who is the president over there, he's doing a wonderful job. And so these are some institutions here that we support and that we're asking you to support. So those are our announcements for the night. And now we're going to get into our interview with Larry Cherry. Larry, I met you in real estate. I think that's where we first met. You were doing real estate, but you have, when I look at your bio, you have done so many things, uh, more than real estate. But it's like the all that you have gotten involved in, you have taken what you have learned and you have delved into it to find out more about it, and it's just like a tree that's growing, one branch after another. And I would like for you to take some time here to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know who Larry Cherry is. You're a native of Chicago, and I'll let you do that introduction.
Thank you, Denise. Basically, I'm just a man who cares deeply about my community. Always have, always will. That's priority one. It's over making money, it's over everything. It's how to elevate our people. Because if I've got $1 million, if you get $1 million, and most of our community is suffering, we're still in trouble. So there are a lot of secrets that I've discovered that shouldn't be secrets, that would help anybody become very, very successful. No matter how much money they have, they'll be able to get whatever they want. And that's what I really focus on now. There was a time when I thought that making a whole lot of money would really save our community, but I see that's not exactly true. It doesn't hurt to learn how to use money for sure, but that's not the overall solution, and it's certainly not the only solution, and it may not even be the best solution, but it's something we need to know how to manage. We need to know how it works. We need to know what money is. And so I've just done a lot of research on that. I was in the real estate for years. I still do real estate. I had a mortgage company. I had a women's apparel business, one of the first Black-owned ones downtown for 20 years. I opened back in 1985 at the Hyatt Regency downtown. I went all over the country.
Wasn't that your first business, Larry? Or
First business I got into was women's apparel. I was 18 years old. I
okay.
was 17 when I worked a job. I was at the University of Illinois, and I had a part-time job at a trucking company. And the supervisor, a racist supervisor, came in one day. He said, "Make me some coffee, boy."
Mm.
And I stood up, I looked at him. I said, "If I make you some coffee, you'll never drink it." And he fired me. And I was so upset. I said, "I'll never work for nobody again."
Mm.
But I did. I got a job in a clothing warehouse after that, and I worked about 2 months. And I started buying and selling the clothes, and that's the last job I ever had to work. And that was 51 years ago. I'm 69 now. I think that's 51 years ago. And I started selling clothing out the trunk of my car, all the beauty shops and churches and businesses and hospitals. And I started traveling around the country. In 1974, I was probably making $500 to $1,000 a week profit. That was a lot of money back then. I quit school and
Wow.
never and never looked back. I never stopped learning, but I stopped going to school. And I'm not telling people not to go to school. I'm just saying that it wasn't a route for me because I learned how to learn. And I was
Mm-hmm.
always studying. To this day, I'm always studying new ways of learning. And I was thinking about what you were saying about the books earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who don't read. I would urge those people who don't feel like they have time for reading and who don't read to still buy the books and have them in your house. Because when books are in your house, whether you ever open them or not, that energy and that knowledge is going into your subconscious. That's what we call osmosis. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, this may sound crazy, but I literally read hundreds of books at a time simply by putting my picture in the books, and that goes into your subconscious mind. How that works, we might not have time to understand it, but you might want to look up a field called radionics, and you literally can absorb pictures just of knowledge. And that's how you learn anyway, by being around something. So when you're in a library and you feel different, if you somebody blindfolded you and took you into a building, a library, and you didn't know, you probably could feel the energy from all those thoughts and all that knowledge from all those books. And so we can sensitize ourselves. And this gets to a very important point that human beings are not what we think we are. We are super beings with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of senses. You ever
Wow.
been in a car, Denise, or driving, and somebody in your car was asleep and they slept through every light and every stop sign? Then when you get to that house, they woke straight up. You ever had that experience?
Yes, I have.
How did they know they were at their house?
Mm.
You see, you ever thought about somebody you haven't seen in a long time and you got a phone call from them or ran into them?
Yes.
That's a sense. These are senses that we have. You ever dreamed something and it came true? Those are senses. Music comes on and you beat, and then you sense the rhythm and you start tapping your feet to it or getting up dancing. We have thousands of senses. You can train yourself to sit in your room and look anywhere on earth and be able to see what's going on. That's called remote viewing. It doesn't take no hundreds of classes or whatever. It's just learning to tap into our intuition. And that's what the problem with school. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit. The problem with school is that too much of it is focused on left brain learning instead of right brain learning. The
Mm-hmm.
left brain organizes everything, and it's where your speech, they say, is and all of that. But the right brain is where your compassion, your intuition, your musical abilities, your imagination, that's what you want to learn. There are a lot of ways to learn: observation, conversation, experience, and intuition. But intuition is how to learn without going through a process of logical thought. You can just get an idea. And a lot of times we get ideas. We should pay attention to those ideas. Because
Mm-hmm.
the universe never gives you a good idea that you don't have time to do. We just think we don't have time to do it. And a lot of it is because we're not working in community. So really what I'm getting around to say is that if the focus is on learning and how to use this powerful mind that we have, this powerful brain that we have, you come up with many, many ways to make money, and you learn how to track synchronistically all the money, all the resources, houses, anything you need. It has nothing to do with how much money you get. It has everything to do with how focused your mind is. You ever heard that thing where they say you got to focus? And, that's what we have to learn. We got to learn how to focus on the most important thing. Nothing wrong with having money. Nothing wrong with having a big house, beautiful relationship, a banging body. But if we put wisdom first, we can get all that and we can keep it. So all this focus on money, 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 and not focus on wisdom. A friend of mine with a company worth $11 billion just died on the 19th. He was 80 years old.
$11 billion?
He had an $11 billion company in real estate. Daniel Goodman was my 8th grade teacher. The last conversation I had with him about a year ago, we talked about health. And I said, Dan, how would it feel if you could get with all your money, if you could focus on just getting your age back to 45 physically? And he laughed because he thought it was funny. I didn't know he would be dead just a year or so later, going to the funeral soon. But all that money, he did learn some simple things about health. And he was a brilliant man. He's a brilliant businessman. But it's some basic things that could have saved his life. It's basic things. Do you realize how healthy we would be if we would just learn to take our shoes off and go outside every once in a while? The negative ions from the earth itself will instantly put your brain into alpha state, pull any kind of pain out your body, any kind of free radicals and inflammation, just simply because we touch the earth. There's a lot of things that we should learn and should have learned a long time ago.
People used to do that in the South. They walked around with no shoes on, but then we associate it with poverty,
right?
And so people don't do it anymore.
Well, there's a whole movement now toward barefooting, and believe me, it will take your health to a whole nother level just because you walk barefoot. If you can get barefoot shoes, and you can get devices. I sell a device on my website that keeps you connected to the earth all night long. And that's what you want to do. You want to be connected to the earth itself. And that's where a lot of knowledge comes in at, because your mind will be in a different state. So there's a lot of things there's a lot I can teach you about, and I teach you about business and all that. But the most important thing is, how can you learn all this? So I'm saying, get the books anyway. So if a book attracts you,
I know when you introduced me to real estate, and you're the first person that I heard that said that you shouldn't be working for money.
Right.
And I couldn't process it at the time, and I'm like, what is Larry talking about? Because I'm coming in here to make some extra money. And
right.
But what is it that a person would gain from not doing that? From not working for money?
Excellent question. They would gain the world, because if you think about it, it's 8 hours in a day. 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. Can you be honest with ourselves and ask, well, what did we learn this week? Imagine if your focus was on learning. Anybody if they just focused on nothing but learning, in 90 days could make themselves 10 times smarter, many times better looking. That's a lot of things that we could do, but many times healthy, give ourselves many times more energy, and create all kind of new friends if we focused on that, instead of running past people, past connections, past resources, past libraries, past ideas to go get a little bit of money, $20, $30 an hour. Mm-hmm. You say, oh, but I got to pay my bills. Well, how about learning not to have bills? First, you have to set a goal. I remember years ago when I got in real estate, I bought 30-something houses over in Roseland and South Shore. I had all these houses and all these mortgages, and I was just running around. Then I was a real estate broker, and I was in Home Depot rehabbing houses. I was buying houses pretty cheap. But I looked around, I had like 20-some thousand a month in mortgages, and I was making a profit. But when I looked around, I was an unpaid tax collector. I was a social worker, because I was dealing with a lot of single mothers with home. I was a drug enforcement agent, because I had to stop the people from selling drugs on the properties. I was a contractor. I was a real estate broker. I was a property man. I was doing all of that. I said, something's not right. And then I made a vow to myself. You ever heard of something called a decree?
Decree?
Like a decree, like a king or queen makes a decree, like on the fourth month of such and such number after this, right? So I made a decree to myself. I said, I'm not getting out one more piece of real estate till I learn how to get it without any mortgages, without having to pay a lot of money for it, without even having to pay property taxes. And within a few months, out of synchronicity, that came to me, and I ended up getting over 100 properties that came to me. Actually, people were paying me to be partners on their houses because I was teaching them how to save them from foreclosure. They were losing the properties. So it's once you have an idea, spirit is going to bring you what you need, and that's what we really need to talk about. How do we connect to the spirit of our ancestors? How do we connect to get the idea? Every single skill and gift that every one of your ancestors have, you have it in every cell of your body. How do you tap into that? We said, oh, I got to go to school to learn. No, it's about remembering. It's
And
opening
see,
up that right.
and
Pardon me.
I think the key is what you're pointing out here is, people, okay, I'm going to school to get a degree. I'm buying these homes so I can make money. But there's been a saying, that the benefit is in the journey
Yes.
and all the things that you experience
Yes.
while you're going through it. That's what's beneficial.
Absolutely.
And like you said, we run right past that because we're
Yeah.
so focused on getting where we say we want to go.
Right.
And we don't look at what all we are able to learn as we're trying to get to that point. It is the journey.
Right. Absolutely. Well said. Well said. So it's really, it's kind of like the real benefit of doing anything is not the money you get, it's what you become because of what you do. And the
Mhm.
more you become, the more you're going to automatically attract. You attract prosperity. And the number one ways to attract prosperity is just being an appreciative person. Because
And
if
then
we're not,
what is prosperity?
prosperity is appreciation.
Hmm.
Prosperity is appreciating yourself, appreciating your surroundings, appreciating your gifts, appreciating the people you know, and finding ways to help and use them. Don't work for money. Work for what can I do to make the world a better place? The most important question anybody can ask themselves is, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? And if I know my life purpose, and everybody has the same life purpose to teach, we just teach different things. So whatever it is that we came here to teach, that's what we're going to make the most money from, because we're going to be working in tune with our spirit. We're not going to be just chasing a money idea. It's how do I teach? How do I share knowledge and wisdom to make community a better place? And that's the key. This Western idea of making a whole lot of money and getting rich and all that, that's is really a bunch of malarkey. The money has come because you're doing what you're supposed to do. Right now, I have more houses than I know what to do with it, and no mortgages. Right. I have more cars I know what to do with it, and no car notes. Right. Now I'm training myself to be an engineer, not going to school for it, but how to take and run all my house and cars off of hydrogen without having to pay gas bills and light bills. Not that hard to do. I just hadn't been trained in the basic mechanics, but I understand the whole thing now because it's something I want to do. Not because I can't pay the bills. It's because I want to be totally free, and I want to be able to show the community how to be free. Because
So you're
all
learning you're learning all of this through reading
I'm learning it through reading. I'm learning it through
and
meditation, and I'm learning through people who are experts in these areas. So it's great to find a mentor, right? People who know a lot more than you, and find a way to help that person. Maybe you can't pay them, but you can find some way to help them. And I've had a lot of mentors in my life. You probably heard of S.B. Fuller,
yeah, you had some of the greatest mentors.
Dick Gregory, Edward Gardner, Dan Goodman, who I just mentioned, just passed, Dr. Fulton, many people and some who weren't famous. They were people who touched my life, but I found them because my father was killed when I was 12 years old. And I left home when I was 15. And I put myself through high school. And I knew I needed a strong male image. So I started finding brilliant brothers, older brothers, and dedicate myself to learning and helping them. And they imparted knowledge to me that's out of this world, and women too.
Can you share some of that with us tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I was at Dick Gregory's house one day. It's about almost 45, 46 years ago. And I went into his library and he had all these great books, metaphysical books. I was like, Dick, man, these are some bad books. Have you read them? He looked at me and said, read them? Why would I do that? They're in my house. I absorbed the knowledge through osmosis. He said, I thought you knew that, Cherry. So that's some of the things. He told me, he says, anybody ever try to do anything to you, just do this. That's called mudra. There's different types of mudras. Look that up. M-U-D-R-A. This one is the pyramid. If you point this at traffic, the traffic will open up, right? If you point this, if the police try to stop you, you put this, put your hand together, it connects your left brain and right brain. It takes you to a alpha state that allows you to project. You could stop, a police officer could stop you. You could say something to yourself like, he's a wonderful guy, officer, let him go. Just say it to yourself. He's a wonderful guy, let him go. And that thought will go right into the officer's mind. Instead of, why you stop being on that? Well, now you're creating. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And this kind of stuff is just basic to use. You know, you can do it. Years later, after Dick told me that, we never talked about it. I picked him up at the airport like 25 years later. And I ran a red light downtown. And the police stopped us. And I did this. And Dick Gregory did it. I looked at him. We both started laughing. The officer got out the car. I rolled the window down. And this is exactly what he said. He said, I'm not going to be on the force that long. Y'all have a nice day. He actually apologized for being a policeman, got his car and drove off. And I can tell you many, 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 many stories because we're mystics. We have superpowers. We got all kind of stuff. We need to learn about it. I was just looking at a book called Psychic Chicago. You know how you hear these stories about California, this great spiritual place and all that?
Psychic
this book,
Chicago.
Yes, this Psychic City, Chicago is the name of it.
Okay.
And this book is saying that, no, it's not California. It's not Los Angeles. It's Chicago. Mm-hmm. Chicago is on these ley lines directly with the pyramids, right? And that energy coming through off that lake is a deep spiritual power that we can tap into. And you know that if you go by the lake, nobody can tell you that. You know you tap into something special when you just stand by the lake and you're breathing a lot of negative ions. And when those negative ions get into your body, you can do all kind of stuff. The same thing when you're barefoot. You take your shoes off barefoot, stand by the lake or by your house and let the sun, look at the sun gaze, and you'll feel energy going through your body. You get all kind of ideas. You remember when you was young, they told us never look at the sun? Mm-hmm. Bad teaching. Mm-hmm. Bad teaching. That's why people wear glasses, because they're not looking at the sun, right? When you look up sun gazing, the sun heals everything, right? Everything, cancer and all kind of stuff. You remember during COVID when they were saying everybody stay inside, right? Well, you're not getting no sun, right? Wear a mask. You're not getting no air. Don't hang around any people. Now you're not getting any love and hugging and energy and love, right? Well, that's a recipe for getting sick and dying, right? So
even technology, with the internet and the cell phones, people are not communicating. People are not coming together like they used to. Everybody's in their phones playing the game.
Every problem, Denise, that you can imagine comes from lack of community. And every problem can be healed by bringing community. Community is going to come up with the answer. Within a mile from your house, and hundreds of people with all kind of knowledge and wisdom and resources, if we would just meet them. Where's the block club? Where's the this and that? There's all kind of people. So the news is trying to make you scared of your own neighborhood, right? Yeah. Scared is walk around with fear. Fear and God can't occupy the mind at the same time. So we got in our house, we got Bibles, and then we got 3 or 4 or 5 guns. But which one do you believe in? You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna go to the Bible and you're gonna start shooting. I'm 69 years old. I've never shot a gun, never had a gun, never touched a gun, and I've lived in all kind of communities, from Roseland to the West Side, the South Shore, everything, and I've never even been in a fight in my entire life. Right. So I'm just saying it's your attitude, it's your spirit. They say, oh, we were all slaves. Well, a lot of you were never no slaves, not in this life or no past life. Could you imagine getting up every morning and from 4 o'clock in the morning picking cotton till 8 o'clock at night for free? Now, there may be some people. There are people who did that, but it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not good. I'm not good at that kind of work, you know. So it's
So
just spirit.
what do you
And the
think
more you
about
do,
so what do you think about reparations?
what do I think about resolution? About reformation?
Reparations. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're definitely owed, but what we're owed is more than money, because money is something that they create and take back at the same time. It's called interest and money, and you buying products and goods. We need knowledge and wisdom. So the land is what was taken. If you don't have land, I don't care how much money you got, you're still poor. And if you have land, we've let millions of acres get away from us or be taken away from us, right? So we have to be very careful with saying that what the reparations we really need is our wisdom and knowledge, and not the knowledge from just these schools. I'm not saying that's not knowledge you can't learn in school. You can learn anywhere. But we need to know knowledge of who we are, what our life purpose is, what our gifts are, what our skills are. They said we've been taught that we have 5 senses. Well, so far, I found about 360 senses that humans have, not 5. So if we learn how to use just 10 of those senses, you can do, you know, I have 5 children, 16 grandchildren. Just had 2 more about 5 or 6 weeks ago. 1 5 weeks old, 1 6 weeks old. None of my grandchildren are in school. They're all homeschooled. If I had to do it all over again, I'm not saying what other people should do, but I wouldn't let my kids anywhere near school, because there's so much you can learn just from being around. You know, there was a time they didn't have mortgages. You wanted a house, you had to build it, or you had to trade with somebody else who knew how to build it. The black people down south would get land, and then all the men would come together. But they weren't plumbers and electricians. They were house builders. They knew every single trade. Every trade. That's just the way it rolled. And they didn't go to school for it. You see, so then they said, well, I'm going to just be an electrician. Now you can get an electrician to knock a hole in the wall. He fixed the outlet. He said, well, you can't get somebody else to come and put some drywall and fix it. You know, so they build houses. The land, we need to know how to get land. We need to learn how to build our own houses, right? We need to learn how to get cars and fix our own cars. And if you car note free and you house note free, you don't have a house note, that's a heck of a start in life. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now whatever money you make, you can just about save it. Then you learn about how to save on alternative energy. Some of us know how to do that already and not have to pay electric bills and gas bills. Yes, there's ways to do it. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. Because most of the things that you can do, you can regrow your hair, right? You can I'm working on how to regrow my teeth right now. You know, I fixed my eyesight. My eyesight was getting bad. I went and got a red light and shined it up my nose, infrared, look it up. And in 2 weeks, my eyesight was 20/20. I went to eye doctor. He said, you don't need no glasses. A red light up my nose. What did that cost me? It was, I think, a $60 little light. And I found out I could get one for $8 later.
So how did you find out about that, Larry?
Look, just doing research.
Just doing research.
Yeah, just doing research, because every cell in your body has mitochondria. And mitochondria is the energy powerhouse of the cell. And that produces what we call ATP. And anytime you expose your body to infrared light, then the ATP the mitochondria goes crazy producing ATP. So it'll do all kind of stuff. It'll make your skin better. It get rid of all kind of sicknesses, all kind of stuff, just using light, right? The same thing, just using light. So now I'm working on regrowing my teeth. You know, I'll be a billionaire when I do that. Right. So there's all kind of stuff that you can do if we would simply just stop believing the hype and listen to these so-called experts. I don't watch so many of my friends, wealthy and not, who actually lost their lives simply because they went to doctors who told them they needed to start. I just lost a good friend, you know, David, right? David passed.
Yes.
He went and got chemotherapy and radiation treatment. And of course, it took his health away and he died a couple of months later, 2 or 3 months later. Right. So we got to stop. We got to learn how to be our own doctors. You say, "Oh, I'm working for healthcare." It's not healthcare. The better insurance you get, the more likely you're gonna get something done to you that you shouldn't be doing. There's some type of drug or whatever. I don't go to doctors. If I do go, I'm just going to check something out. And even then, my knee, I feel my knee is always, my right knee has been, ever since I was an athlete, I used to do some crazy stuff, jump over cars, all kind of stuff, right? So my right knee was so bad, and I fell 2 years ago. I couldn't walk for weeks, and I was in so much pain. Same red light. I went to the doctor, said, he says, "I'm sorry to tell you, you got bone on bone, two severely torn meniscus, arthritis, torn MCL." He said, "You need a knee replacement." Well, I went and got the red light again. I started grounding. I started using Qigong exercises, and I'm running now again, right? And I'm taking off some more weight and all of that. But all that about the knee, the doctor didn't know what he was talking about. Right. I'm back doing martial arts again. I'm doing all kind of stuff, right? So we get these dire predictions when you go to the doctor. Those are diagnoses. You need a living gnosis, not a diagnosis. Because what good is it? And this is what happens to a lot of people. They make decent money, but they end up going to the doctor, and the doctor take their health away. Put them on drugs. I had a friend that owned 100 buildings free and clear. This guy is 76 years old, could run around the block, sprint, right? Good looking man. I mean, he was a debonair dresser, Mr. Everett. Mr. Everett went and got a checkup, and they told him he had heart trouble, scared of death. He started taking the drugs. 2 years later, he was dead. He did an operation and killed him. He had no symptoms whatsoever. I had another friend. He was a musician, 84 years old, with 32 perfect teeth. He went and got a diagnosis. They told him he had prostate cancer. They said, "But before we can treat it, we need to take your teeth out." He let them take out. They took out every one of his teeth. You know they sell those teeth, right? Took out every one of his teeth, and he died a year later. No symptoms, nothing hurting, nothing wrong. He just got a diagnosis. So we're trusting these people who, and I'm not saying, because there are plenty of really nice people working in the Medicare system, you know that. But the training is off. The training is off. How come they don't study natural health? How come they don't study nutrition? How come they don't study massage? How come they don't study light therapy? How come they don't study hundreds of natural health things? It's either drugs or surgery. Drugs or surgery. How do you know a good doctor? Because he won't give you no drugs. That's how you can tell you got a good doctor, because he's not trying to drug you up.
So what I'm hearing you say is, we have the power within ourselves as people to do all the things that we need to do. We just need to be about the business of that. And when we have all of these businesses in our communities, and we have people in our communities that really don't know about our businesses, and they're not supporting our businesses, what could you say to those individuals that have opened up establishments and working to be entrepreneurs? What could you say to them tonight?
The most important thing an entrepreneur can learn to make his business or her business grow is word of mouth marketing. We call it referral marketing. Mm-hmm. How do you get people excited? The most important question I can ask is, how can I get people excited about my business and telling other people about it? That's called the buzz, right? How do you get people to do it? That's the question you got to ask. What would make them excited? People don't get excited about businesses that are boring. People don't get excited about businesses with bad customer service. People don't get excited about business where the owner of the business is not excited about customer service. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure that we are excited about the service that we can give and treat each person special. They're going to tell other people, and soon they're going to tell other people, and it's going to be more people than you can handle. That's going to be the problem. There's a book called The Referral Engine, and the subtitle is Teaching Your Business to Market Itself, right? And I highly recommend that book, because if you learn the principles of that, you'll never be short of customers. People don't buy it because you're black. They buy price. They They buy convenience. They buy quality. There's 2 or 3% of the people like Denise and maybe myself who will go out of their way to shop for a black business. But being a black business owner, and then that's kind of a bad attitude to think that, well, they should come to me because I'm black owned.
That's
So
right. That's right.
they come to me because I have great service. They come to me because I'm doing something special. They come to me because I have great prices. They come to
It's
me
the
because of that.
relationship. It's the
Yes,
relationship.
yes. And that's another term for relationship marketing. So you got to establish a relationship. How about caring about your customers? That's always a good thing. If you really care, when I had a store downtown, every day we would get compliments. People would come in and say, wow, the service in here is so great, right? Because I didn't worry about selling people dresses. I was concerned about making sure they had a wonderful experience when they came in. Of course, if they have a wonderful experience, they're going to come back, even if they just looking that day. And that's what it is. It's the energy around your business. It's the feeling. You learn to magnetize your inventory. You learn to magnetize your service so that it just feels so good for them to want to do business with you. You're that excited about it, Look at a place like Aldi's. It's not a black-owned business, but have you noticed that Aldi's has excellent customer service? Have you noticed that, Denise?
No, I haven't been to all these too many times.
But
So
they have
I really
excellent.
noticed it.
They have excellent customer service. Trader Joe's has excellent customer service. Whole Foods used to have a
You took the
excellent customer
words
service.
out of my mouth. They used
They
to.
kind of fell off since Amazon bought them. Right.
Yes, they
They
have.
used to. But places like, the black-owned businesses were known for customer service. H&H Restaurant years ago, and SP Fuller years. Soft Sheen, excellent customer service. Luster Products, excellent customer service. There so many black businesses, they believe in customer service, and those are the ones that excite people. And that's what you do. Then you learn to, instead of sitting around waiting on customers, you find a way to not only develop customers, but work to help your competitors. And you all work together. When you go into a shopping center, it might be 10 clothing stores in there, 10 restaurants. They don't consider each other competition. Everybody's coming to enjoy that. So they get a lot more people. When the shopping centers were built, that took a lot of business out of not only black places, but a lot of places because parking was so convenient. All the big stores were there and all of that. So a lot of small people went wayside. Even with Home Depot. Remember, it used to be a hardware store everywhere?
Yes,
Where's your hardware? Where's your hardware stores now? Where the black-owned gas stations? Where are the black-owned grocery stores? It's all gone. It's all gone now. And that's because our lack of understanding of not only money, but service. But we have many excellent, especially a lot of young people coming now that are all kind of service. What I want to say, Denise, is though, is that we should never let not having money stop us from going into business. I don't care. When I was started in business, I didn't have any money. I bought one dress for $7 and I sold it, bought two more. And that's how I built a business. Within 2 or 3 months, I had a $2,000 or $3,000 inventory. Then when I opened up my first store, I had clothes all over my basement, my living room. I had the racks. Only thing I had to buy was a cash register, and I even had all the racks and everything, and a sign for the store. So a lot of times people open up stores, but they don't have any customers. So how do you develop and get 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 customers on file? Take a survey, find a way to help people, take an interest. What do people want? And people love to give their opinion. What is it that makes your business? What is it that you want in a business? What do you want to see? And listen to people, and then implement that in your business. I used to have personalized customer service cards, and I just go around and have people fill it out. So they put on their birth month, their favorite color, that they like. Buy dresses more for church or parties or for office work or whatever. They would check a box and they would put down their size and their favorite colors, and I asked their opinion on different things. When I closed the store, I had 7,000 of those cards on file. And I used those 7,000. I went into the computer business, real estate business, same customers. And that's what you go into some stores, they spend $200,000 to open a store, but if you go and ask them how many customers they have on file, they can't even tell you because they think that people are just going to automatically come. No, you should be able to make money whether you work it. Look at all the social media business now. They don't have stores. They don't have brick and mortar no more. They've learned how to develop and customers. There's people got stores in Jamaica that are doing all kind of money. Customers right here in Chicago, selling herbs and all kind of stuff. Word of mouth. How do you generate that? Get that book, The Referral Engine. It's
The
by
referral engine. Well,
who
you
is that?
know, when you look at, I'm listening to you talk and about what we need to be doing as far as, you know, educating our children,
Right.
what we need to be doing as businesses in our community. And I think about the legal institutions. You know, I was
Mm.
reading about the intent of the Constitution and
Mm-hmm.
legal tender, as you
Right.
were talking about in your bio, as you mentioned in your bio. Can you elaborate on that so that people can have a better understanding of what we're actually working with here?
So money, there's all different forms of money. And most of what we call money is in the form of what we call checkbook money. And that's money that's created by banks. And banks create money. Every time there's a loan, then that creates money. Banks don't actually loan money. That's what people think. What banks loan is credit. And credit and money is two different things. So what the government has decided under the legal tender laws is they've made what they have through the Federal Reserve allow banks to create as legal tender, saying all debts, public and private, can be accepted by this or whatever. And it used to be backed by gold. Well, we came off the gold standard completely in 1933, but completely in 1971 under Nixon. And so there's nothing really backing the gold except, I mean, backing money, but people's faith, right? So people think, we've been trained to think that money is the way you get stuff and you have to have money. But if you create community and you create bartering and you create friendship, you can, and that's what you're doing anyway, most of the time. If you don't have money, you find a way to help somebody. Why is it when some of our poorest times is when we had the most fun? Because we had to rely on each other. We had more friends. We had more. You had to have it just to survive, you know. Maybe you had to eat at somebody's house and stay with somebody, or you know what I'm saying? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to implement. You know what I don't like, Denise? I don't like hotels. You know what it makes me feel bad if I have to go into a city and stay at a hotel, and I don't, out of all the wonderful people, I don't know anybody. I can just stay at their house. You know what I'm saying? Not because I can't afford a hotel. I can afford it. But the idea of staying in a hotel is like, where the people there? You know, and then you go, or you go to a resort and you go all the way to Jamaica, don't really meet the people there, just the servants. All the people there, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of lifestyle is not really connecting us with community. And remember I said every problem comes from a lack of community?
Mm-hmm.
That when we learn how to bring community back, then we'll learn that money is really our connection and resources with each other. Because if anything go wrong with your house and you had people to come and fix it and you could help them with whatever it is that they need and y'all didn't have to exchange money, that would be a big thing. If you knew how to go get land and you didn't have to pay for the land because the person that know how to get the land or has the land, then they have something that you can help them with. Or the people who know how to grow food, that's not hard to do. Then you know how to get food from them, or you learn how to grow your own food on your own land. Well, if you got food covered and land covered and housing covered, right, then ain't a whole much left. Then you learn how to fix your cars and stuff. We get these car notes. Most people go out and get a car note, Denise, because they don't want a car that's gonna mess up on them. But they're paying hundreds, $700-800 a month for a car, just interest, and then you're getting charged jack up interest, 29% interest. You miss. Do you know you miss one payment in Illinois, they can come and get your car? Even there are people. A lot of people have lost their cars with 1 or 2 payments left, and then they sell it again because that's the
No,
banking
the
system.
laws have become so stringent because even with booting your car,
Right.
two tickets, and
The
your car can be
the
booted.
city of Chicago has taken over 60,000 cars from its citizens since 2011 and sold them for junk. Yes, that's the city of Chicago. So people don't realize that really the enemy is the government's, because who else has been taking you from you your entire life? Who's charging you for driving around and because you don't have your phone? You got a talking on your phone or seatbelt. Who's got somebody patrolling and stopping you, giving you a ticket, charging you money? You know, who instead of if you go downtown right now at what is it, something on Superior with a building court, you got all kind of older seniors down there being charged all kind of money because they can't fix up their house in time. City trying to help them, they're finding them because something's wrong with their house. And now the cities, you know what the cities are doing now? It's just shameless. People get behind on their taxes, seniors, and they pay off the taxes and kick the people out their house. The house I was just working with a lady. She's 76 years old, lived in Markham. The city of Markham bought her property taxes for $2,000 and kicked her. They're kicking out her house right now. All kind of stuff. It's the government's. So we need to know law. If you're going to be in business, you need to learn about law to protect yourself. You know, there's people don't know. Look how many people lose their cars after paying them for a year or two, 3 or 4, and then lose their car because they missed 1 or 2 or 3 payments, and now they come and get the car, and they time it because they got devices on the car now where they can find anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And when you connect your car to the telephone, then they can actually hear you talking in your car. Did you know that?
No.
Don't
Well, I guess I won't say I didn't know it. It's just not something that I think about, but I believe you.
Yes, it's all kind of stuff. When if I come to your house right now, Denise, your telephone and my telephone will alert Google, and the Google can hear my voice tone. And they say, "Oh, Larry just walked into Denise's house. He stayed 15 minutes, and now he's driving back on South Shore Drive." Google knows all that. Google knows all that and way more than what I'm saying. I'm just giving you a little bit. So all this about AI and all that, it's a trick to just further surveillance because their whole thing is to turn everybody into a digit. That was Star Wars was about. Everybody that's not tuned in the spirit, we're going to turn you into a robot. And that's what it is. They're making us robotic with the digitized phones, the digitized everything, and not really focused on spirit. And then running after the idea of money. When you mention legal tender, if you look up a book called Creature from Jekyll Island, or even just go on YouTube and put in Creature from Jekyll Island chapter 10, you'll learn how money is really made and what money really is. And all the things, these great ideas you have and all that, you can do all of that if you just connect in resources with other people. Join some not-for-profit organizations or start one. Be around people who are doing these type of things and learn and make connections and resources. Develop real friends, right? Learn how to develop your friends. Study how to divine. There's a time when we used to go to people, the prophets and prophetesses, and they would tell us, no, don't do this and this. Well, anybody can learn how to do that. That ain't hard to do. When I was 18 years old, I used to sell clothes in White Castles on 79th Street. One day I went in there and I was waiting on because I always gave them credit, and I was waiting on them to get their break to come and pay me and look at some more clothes. And the older guy, he had been about 80 years old, came in. He saw me sitting down. He said, "Can I sit down with you, young man?" I said, "Sure." He sat down and he looked around. He said, "You see that lady over there?" Pointing to one of the ladies working. He said, "She's in a nice relationship." She said, "That one over there doesn't have a man or anything." He was right. I knew these ladies. He was right every single one. I said, "Oh, you must come in a lot." He said, "I've never been in here before." I said, "Well, how did you know that about all these ladies?" He said, "You'll learn." And he got up and walked out. It's listening. We're learning to listen to what's not being said. That's literally listening. Listen to what's never been said. It's not about selling. It's learning to listen to your customers. And what is it that they really need? What is it that don't sell them stuff they don't need or want? You know, don't focus on the money. Focus on giving great service, right? That's the idea. All this money hungry stuff is not going to do nothing but cause your business. In the end, people will be talking about you. They're not going to be trying to bring people to you. And that's what you want.
Well, Larry, we're getting pretty close to the top of the hour. You've given so much knowledge and wisdom. Tell us about the University of Life itself.
The University of Life itself is a not-for-profit. Back in 2001, Spirit told me, because I'm a prophet just like everybody else, anybody can be a prophet if you listen, right? That the whole country was going in foreclosure. And I was just, you know how they say in church, you convicted. I was convicted with it. I just went around and said, the country's going into foreclosure. You probably remember that, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going into foreclosure. Such a time. People
Yeah.
are laughing because everybody was doing big time real estate deals. They laughed at me. So I just started studying law. I went and got 400 or 500 books in law and finance, and I just started studying that. And I put all these books into the paragraphs of over 15,000 questions and answers into PowerPoint. And I memorized all that. I became a genius lawyer without going to law school. And sure enough, in 2007, the whole country went into foreclosure. I had created University Life itself to help people get out of foreclosure. And we helped a lot of people get out of foreclosure. We helped people, so a lot of people keep their homes. We helped we taught a lot of lawyers. We got people into it, thousands of it. Yet I only have 1 year of college, but I have to learn how to become it's one thing if you meet a great lawyer who's able to help a lot of people. But what we did was we trained people who don't read at all to go into court and be able to say what it was to be able to protect or prolong their time and their property while they got themselves together. And we created a whole thing about it, that really started helping people all over the country. People would come from Georgia, DC, New York, California, and started helping people all over the country to show them that money that wasn't even real. And then banks at that time had created this whole foreclosure crisis. They started to tell people, well, it's because these people took these loans and they didn't pay them back. No, what happened was every foreclosure was illegal. The banks that were foreclosing didn't even own the mortgage anymore. They had sold those mortgages in tranches to your house was probably owned by hundreds of investors all over the world. So they had no right to foreclose. And guess what? The mortgages were never behind because they were always paid by the servicing companies. But because the courts were crooked, the judges were crooked, they were all part of it. Even their pension plan was tied into mortgage-backed securities. So all of those houses, black community lost billions, billions of equity because we didn't ever have a whole lot of so-called money, but we had equity in houses and beautiful homes in Chatham and this and down in Bronzeville. Most of those houses were lost and taken by the banks who never owned them through crooked foreclosures. And that was all over the world that happened, but definitely all over the United States. That's when Obama was president. And people say, "Oh, he's gonna make a difference." I said, if he stops one foreclosure, then I'll back him. He never did. So
Last words. Last
pardon me?
words, Larry. Last words.
Yes.
What should people be doing? Be your
They
last
should,
words of wisdom here tonight.
they should be learning what their life purpose is and meditating on how to use their life purpose to help the community and connecting with like-minded people and using that instead of focusing just on money. I'm not saying you should learn how to use money. There's a book you can get called More Wealth Without Risk that was written 35 years ago that will teach you more about money than most of these colleges you go through. It's probably $2 on the internet now by Charles Givens, More Wealth Without Risk by Charles Givens. You should learn about money, but learn about yourself, learn about your life purpose, learn about your spiritual gifts, learn who you are and learn how to use your intuition. That's the most important gift you have is your intuition. And stop thinking that these people who got just because they got degrees, they have the answer. They may have the answer. There are a lot of brilliant people with degrees, but stop chasing that. You may have to go to school to get your degree to work in the field you want to work in, but you don't pin yourself to just what you learn in school. Denise didn't. You got a couple of degrees, Denise, but look, you always learning.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right, Larry.
You travel from Africa to you teaching over in Nigeria, doing all kind of stuff. Right. You didn't let your degree stop you from learning. That's my point.
That's right. You're always learning.
Always.
Always learning. Every experience that you have an opportunity to learn something.
Yes. Be a forever student. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Be a forever student. That's
Be
great.
a forever student. Get the books anyway. Even if you have time to read, put your picture in the books. Watch what happens. It's going to blow your mind.
Wow. Well, Larry, you have given some wonderful words of wisdom for not just entrepreneurs, but just everyday people and people in our community. in terms
But
of what our power, the power that we have, and what we could be doing and what we should be doing.
just think if Oprah was like you and was really developed to really set up something to really benefit the community, where we would be by now. So now you and people like you got to be the Oprah that's really taking it to the next level.
That's right. Well, I want to thank you, Larry, for coming tonight. Friends, we have been listening to Larry Cherry, a shining light in our community. We have so many people that are doing so many wonderful things. You know, that's one thing that I have had an opportunity to realize is that we have so many people here in Chicago that are doing some wonderful things and have some wonderful talents and are really trying to make a difference in our community. It's just not a lot of light shed on that.
Have you heard about the EPA thing that's coming up at UIC in a couple of days? They're having a conference.
No.
It's all about an energy conference and all of that. It's the EPA. You might want to look that up because there's going to be a lot of opportunity. I'm going to be there.
Okay, great.
I'll send you some information.
All right, excellent. Family, go to rrgbc.org and you can watch this podcast over again if you missed any of it. I would like to look at it and just dwell on some of the information that has been imparted tonight. And you can also go to our website and find out about all the bookstores that we have here in Chicago. You can go to our website and subscribe and become a possible winner in our book giveaway for this month, which is the Lessons for African People. That's right, by Marcus Garvey. And our brother Say Cool at Frontline. He's been on our website. He's been on our podcast. And this is not the first time that he has recommended this particular read. So go to rrgbc.org and subscribe. We also have a donation page, and we have a page where we have items that you can purchase that would help us to continue to do the work that we are doing. But I want to thank you for coming tonight. And again, I want to thank you, Larry. Yes.
Denise, can I recommend one more book?
Sure.
There's a book called Creating Money by Sanya, Sanya Roman, Roman. And that's the best book I've ever seen on the right attitude to have toward money. Creating Money by Sanya Roman.
Creating Money by Sanya Roman.
Right. Put your Roman. Put your picture in
it. All right. Will do, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Keep up the great work.
Okay. Good night, family.